Welcome back to Sunday Vibes 1 and all. We're in the pub. You know the score. Pato, Chris join me as ever. First question comes from Axel Pedersen probably. Says, if you were an upcoming talent in football around the age of 19 to 21, it's quite a specific age range, and could go to any club in the world, brackets, you get paid the same at them all, which club would you go to? So there's some regulations there. I'm going to you first, Christopher.
All right, okay. Well, we have a couple of suggestions down on our sheet. We have Ajax with an average age of just 22, so that's always a good start. They're obviously experiencing a sort of golden generation at the moment, aren't they? With the likes of Casper Dolberg, Davidson Sanchez, Ligt.
Yeah.
Was it Ligt?
Yeah.
Never know how to pronounce his name, Ligt. RB Leipzig also have an average age in the early 20s as well. They've just brought in Kevin Jean Augustin as well from PSG, haven't they? Which shows they're in the market for young talent. That's sort of in their ethos, isn't it? Build up that young talent, maybe sell it on for a little bit more. Or is it? Or are they going to retain it this season?
Naby Keita.
Yeah, i.e. Naby Keita, and try and challenge for that title. Exciting to see. But I think I'd go for Tottenham. I think Pochettino, of late, has been brilliant at bringing young talent through. Predominantly it's been English. Kyle Walker-Peters as well, we saw make his debut in that right-back berth. He didn't panic when he sold Kyle Walker. He trusted in the youth. Apparently they're going in for Serge Aurier, so we might not see an awful lot of Kyle Walker-Peters should that move go through. But he's also progressed the likes of Dele Alli, Eric Dyer. He's brought the best out of Danny Rose, even though he's in his mid-20s now.
And now
Harry
he's
Kane, of course,
Sanchez.
still 23. And they've had a £35 million bid rejected for Davidson Sanchez. So maybe Poch, especially if you're all getting paid the same amount. That question might change. My answer might change if it was which club are you going to get paid out the most. But yeah, what about you, Pato?
Well, there are a lot of clubs who will give you a chance if you're good. You know, Arsenal will give you a chance, but I think I'd rather go to a club that has a manager who's going to teach me to press and do all the kind of things that you're required to do at the elite level. So if Thomas Tuchel was still at Dortmund, that would be my choice. And you know what? It might still be.
Okay.
Dortmund have always given youngsters a chance. They'll always throw them in at the deep end. There are still experienced, excellent players to learn from there. But they're just really good at identifying talent. And if you are good, they will keep you, generally speaking, and give you a shot. Paslak, he might leave, but he's obviously been developed. He was given shots in the first team. Pulisic is a fantastic player. Dembele, they put their trust in him straight away. I mean, there are so many guys there who've come up through the youth academy, even if they've had to leave and come back, in the case of Mario Götze or Shinji Kagawa. I think that that's probably the place that I'd want to go. And Borussia Dortmund, they're going to give you Champions League football as well.
Yeah, the Bundesliga and Liga are producing exceptional young talent at the moment.
I've got a left field shout though.
Go on.
What about Real Madrid under Zidane?
Never.
No.
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 Stupid.
Really? Why?
Because
you've seen Asensio come back, absolutely rocket at the club, and
he's bought Hernandez and Ceballos, but
well.
But it says you're an upcoming talent, not you are the best young talent in the world, which is Asensio arguably
talent in the world when he joined Real Madrid? I'd argue he wasn't.
He was already picked as an exceptional young talent. I mean, Barcelona looked at him, and Real Madrid obviously decided to buy him.
For sure, but he's taken into a different stratosphere.
Pretty dominant in his age group as well. You look at the under 23s, or is it the under 21s? I'm not even sure what tournament he played in at the summer, but he was absolutely killing it.
Yeah.
Real Madrid under Zidane is a slightly different kettle of fish. Yes, he is giving more opportunities to youngsters. He's brought the average age of that squad down. It's now a smaller squad than ever. So there is a lot of pros for your argument.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't go there if the wages were all flatline, but you know that he's going to pay massively more than most other teams. So if the wages weren't even, I'd think about Real Madrid if I was one of the world's best talents.
What about Monaco?
Mbappe. Monaco's a great shout. You think like Yuri Tielemans moving over there this summer. That's a great move for the player. Specifically because it's part stepping stone in that you know you're eventually going to go on to bigger and better things if you do well, but equally you're crunching it in the Champions League, you're competing for a league title every single year, you're competing for a cup every single year, you're in a fantastic environment in Monaco, brilliant training facilities, a lovely place to live, 0% tax. I would say Monaco is a fantastic shout.
Well, you know they'll sell you for a reasonable fee. That's my one objection to Spurs, that I think if you do turn out to be a world-class player and you want to leave, Daniel Levy is not going to let you do it unless it's for a punitive transfer fee.
But we've seen in the recent transfer window that, what is a punitive fee now?
Well, 100 mil, 150. I mean, they've said they won't sell Dele Alli for 150 mil, and I believe them when they say that.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's interesting. But what do you guys think? Where would you go if you were a 19 to 21-year-old youngster and all of the wages were flat?
Plateaued.
Let us know in the comments down there. Next question comes from the wavy one, not Adam Templeman though. Hold your horses. He says, since the first official week of the Premier League is over, which striker do you think had the best debut for his club? Morata, Lacazette or Lukaku? Now we're shooting this on a Thursday, so the second game week is yet to start. But debut-wise, Pato, any of those three, or is there another name you want to mention?
I think those three were all really, really good.
Yeah.
Lukaku had the easiest game of the three of them.
Agreed.
But he was still outstandingly good. And it looks like Man United's attack is really going to kind of mould nicely around him. I mean, Steve Mounier, I think, deserves a shout. Scored two goals in an away victory for Huddersfield against Crystal Palace. And unlike those players, they're going to have to get, 18, 20 to be considered a success this season. He probably only needs to get 10, 15 to be considered a success at Huddersfield. Yeah, he's already got 2, so he's on the route. And also Mariano Diaz at Lyon got off to a scoring start. And that front line with Fekir and Memphis Depay looks really, really dangerous. That's exciting.
Yeah, I think Mounier's 2 goals came from 2 shots on target.
Yeah.
High finishing.
He looks like one of those strikers who's quite good instinctively.
Yeah.
But when he was given the opportunity at times to, take a couple of touches, didn't look the most comfortable with the ball at his feet. I don't know if that's a fair criticism or not, but that was just what I got
no fee though, 12 million
from watching Huddersfield.
So it can't really go wrong. Can't really go too wrong if you're David Wagner.
And he's 22, so you'll always be able to get some money back.
I was most impressed with Lacazette out of those 3.
Really?
I'll have a think about other strikers from across Europe. But Lacazette, in terms of his all-round play, I thought was much sharper than I anticipated him being at this point in time. And he would gel much better with his teammates than I'd also anticipated. He was pulling out to that left second half, and he put in 2 brilliant crosses that Mesut Ozil didn't get on the end of one of them. And I can't remember who.
Aaron Ramsey. His header wide.
Yes. Just his general movement, he took his header exceptionally well as well. Only his second touch, the first being from kickoff.
What a finish!
As you said, I kind of expected that level of performance from Lukaku. Who was the other? Morata. I was extremely surprised to see him not start. His assist for David Luiz was very, very measured, wasn't it? And he's in my fantasy dream team, so he needs to start from now on. Otherwise, Conte will be getting angry letters from me, signed in blood.
Yeah, I agree.
He'd love that though, wouldn't he, Conte?
I thought Lukaku, like you said, Pato, the opposition were diabolic. I thought West Ham were absolutely shambolic on the day. Morata's an interesting one because it's going to be really interesting to see how he fits in that system with Michy Batshuayi. Whether or not those two play together, does Michy Batshuayi now drop to the bench? Is Morata a starter in now? I think Conte still has a lot of question marks over that squad. Notably, obviously, the disciplinary issues, but Morata himself is so exciting. I thought he was unlucky not to get his offside goal as well, a little bit of a poacher's effort, very instinctive, probably could have left it. Would it have gone in? Not too sure. Good finish, and the assist is insane. That weight on that header.
I think Conte was doing that classic thing where, listen, Michy Batshuayi has been there pre-season, he's done well pre-season, I can't start Morata for morale reasons, but I probably really want to. And now he's come on, he's got a goal and assist. I'd be surprised if he's benched moving forward.
Yeah, I know we're only talking about strikers here, but let's just mention Matic, shall we? Oh my word! What a debut.
One possession back 9 times.
But he has to.
7 takes.
He was unbelievable on the day.
But he has to. He's 28. You've bought a guy who's won 2 titles in 3 years. He has to contribute immediately. Whereas somebody like Steve Mounier or Mariano Diaz, in a way, they're like outperforming where you expect them to be right now. Same with Lacazette. Lacazette has to hit the ground running because Arsenal desperately need him.
That's a good point.
Was Mariano Diaz from Real Madrid?
Yes.
Yes, I think Celtic were linked with him last year. Where's he from?
He's Dominican, I think.
Quite far afield, isn't it?
Ooh.
Yeah, there were some clubs sniffing around him, wasn't there? Lyon have got him. Interesting. I hope Arkadiusz Milic has got off to a good start. I've not watched an awful lot of Napoli so far, but obviously had that terrible injury last season.
I watched a bit of him last night, actually.
Napoli spent big on him, didn't they?
So
let's hope he can make a significant difference.
It was Mertens up front again. He was absolutely
and he scored, didn't he?
He was fantastic.
Yeah.
Really.
What a fabulous player. Just one more player we haven't mentioned in terms of Premier League debuts up front, Sandro for Everton. I watched a little bit of that game, and his interplay with Rooney is actually quite exciting. Although Rooney struggled at times in terms of attacking output. I think he only had 1 shot in the entire 90 minutes. Sandro was actually pulling wide a lot as well. Obviously, Yannick Bolasie is out until around Christmas with that ACL problem, but Sandro, I think, could be involved in a lot of goals. I don't know how many he's going to score, but I think he might get a lot of assists this season.
He was playing along that front three for Malaga last season when he got those 14
Sure.
And that, whilst that's a prolific season for a guy under the age of 21, I don't know if he's a 25 goal a season sort of player or someone who actually, as you say, contributes to all-round play.
Yeah, I think he definitely will be. But what do you guys at home think of the big three that have been mentioned? Who had the best debut, Morata, Lukaku, or Lacazette? Or was it someone else? You can let us know in the comments below. Oh, f***. Our next question comes from Rad Chelsea fan. He says on Twitter, what do you think of the Gylfi Sigurdsson transfer to Everton? #SundayVibes. Now, this has split opinion on my Twitter in a way. If you're a Swansea fan or you're an Everton fan, you really like the transfer. If you're anyone else, you're not convinced about it. For me, massively overpriced for what he offers. I think there was a stat floating around that around 71 players who created more open play chances in the Premier League than him last season.
Including future teammates Idrissa Gueye and Gareth Barry.
Yeah, which is a huge number. Obviously a set-piece specialist, but surely Everton can find a set-piece specialist for a lot less money than they're spending on Gylfi Sigurdsson right now, Pato.
Yeah, well,
crazy.
Well, Brighton got Pascal Gross for €3 million, and he was the third in the Bundesliga last season for chances created per 90 minutes, and he's phenomenal at set pieces. Plus, Everton have already got Baines, they've already got Rooney. I don't think they're a particularly big team, you know. So if they want to do set pieces, they really need to kind of rejig the squad anyway. I mean, I hate this transfer. And that's despite the fact that I love Gylfi Sigurdsson. I think he's great, but Swansea absolutely should have sold him for that amount of money. That was completely the wise. The only reason you would say to them, you shouldn't do this, is if you don't back them to spend the money wisely afterwards. But they've been linked to Jonathan Vieira earlier in the summer. They were linked to Bruno Fernandes before he went to Portugal.
Worryingly linked to £25 million Chadley though.
Well, that's not great, though I do think that their wings need some work as well. But you look at these players who create far more chances per game than Gylfi Sigurdsson and are not reliant on set pieces to do it. More than half of Gylfi's set pieces last season, more than half of his chances created came from set pieces. More than half of his goals and assists came from set pieces. And it's just a bit troubling when you're buying a guy who's that old, who's that slow, you're paying him this amount of money, and I don't really think he moves the needle. Everton, people seem to think that spending a lot of money is a sign of ambition, but it only is if you do it properly. And frankly, Everton were always going to finish 7th this season. They're still going to finish 7th this season.
Where does he fit in though? That's my question. I don't understand where he plays.
I feel like this is a transfer that suits Everton of last year with Romelu Lukaku up front. We saw how good a partnership Lukaku struck up with Deulofeu. When Deulofeu was playing out wide, he had a bit of pace, he had great delivery, had decent technique, similar to Sigurdsson. But yeah, as you say, Koeman settled with that 3-4-3 at the weekend, didn't he? With Calvert-Lewin playing out wide, Leighton Baines pushing up a little bit more. Sigurdsson's is predominantly good as a 10, isn't he?
Yeah, where does Sigurdsson play in
does
that?
Does he come in for Rooney? I think Rooney's going to demand a starting position.
Rooney definitely
already
starts.
At that club. He's probably got a lot of clout in the changing room. But even Everton fans pre-season have been saying Claessen's better in a more advanced position than he is a deep position, and it's to the team's detriment that Rooney's playing there instead of Claessen. So there seems to be a lot of confusion in that squad right now. And as you say, it's only a good transfer for Swansea if they spend the money wisely. I agree. I don't think Nacer Chadley's the most inspiring, but he's certainly not the worst transfer they can get. No. 5 goals and 5 assists last season, so he's contributing to a goal every 1 in 3 games. It's not all that bad, is it? But for me, Everton, £45 million. Could that money be better spent elsewhere? 100%. You look at their centre-backs. Ashley Williams and Jagielka both over 30. I think Jagielka's actually 35 and he's just signed a new deal at the club. Funes Mori, is he convincing when he plays? He's not bad at occasions, but for me, he has a big error in him, even though he's playing in that Argentina national team, which in itself is absolutely frivolous. So yeah, as you say, Pato, it's money spent, but is it money well spent? I'm not so sure.
No, I'm not too sure either. But what do Everton fans at home think? We'd love to hear your opinion on the topic. Is he worth £42.5 million at 27 years old? Our opinion is no, he's not. But what is yours? Let us know in the comments below. Our final question of the day comes from Samira Salim, who says, who will be the first manager in the Premier League to get sacked? Now, we're also going to be talking about this on our fantasy football show, which is usually on YouTube, but this week it's live on Facebook. Make sure you go over and check that out. There's a link in the description below. Who wants to lead us off then? Who's going to be the first manager to get sacked? Pato, who do you reckon?
I know you guys are going to go for, so I'm going to go for a slightly different angle. I think it will be Chris Hughton or Craig Shakespeare.
Craig Shakespeare?
No.
He's not a very good coach
Leicester
at all.
looks solid. Well, he's a very good coach. Whether he's a very good manager is yet to be seen.
Well, in a way, it's the same thing here. He's not in charge of transfers necessarily. Like, he's in charge of managing the team, and I don't think he's very good at it. I mean, I looked at their defence in that first game, and I thought they were absolutely dreadful.
Really?
Like,
I thought they were a little bit unlucky.
The amount of space they could easily have conceded more than 4.
I think
4's
Harry
the minimum
Maguire's
they should have conceded.
But that was more so, in my opinion, due to Arsenal's frighteningly good attack rather than their ineptitude in defence. I think Harry Maguire is an astute signing.
I like Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire's fine. I actually like a lot of their personnel, but I just think Craig Shakespeare isn't going to do a very good job.
You've got something against clubs from the Midlands.
We had so much.
You hate Leicester.
Well, there aren't any good ones.
Oh!
That's the problem.
Dun, dun, dun. But you think so? Chris Hughton is a good shout as well.
Yeah, Chris Hughton at Brighton. Why?
Yeah, I mean, well, he's got a track record of getting sacked when he's and getting a little bit unlucky. I mean, I look at Brighton and I think I really like some of the signings that they've made, but basically what tends to happen is owners of clubs that come up start to panic halfway through the season and think, oh Jesus Christ, we're going to lose out on 100 million quid if we don't stay in this league, and then they tend to make redundancies. And given that there are normally some better managers who become available during the course of the season, I'd have thought somebody would see, oh, why don't we let Hughton go and maybe we can pick up not Tuchel, but somebody interesting.
He has got a long history of doing really well like, in terms of backs against the wall in the Championship with Newcastle, Norwich, and who else was it?
I can't remember.
That's not a bad shout. I mean, whether Conte leaves of his own volition is yet to be seen. He might walk in December, but I'm going to go for De Boer off the back of their 3-0 loss to newly promoted Huddersfield at the opening day of the season. I think he's trying to change that Crystal Palace side into a possession-based side. So he's moulding them in his own image, fine, but I think that transition might happen too quickly. It might cost him a lot of points at the start of the season, and as you say, that might lead to a knee-jerk reaction from Steve Parish. It happened to him at Inter Milan, didn't it?
It did.
He's not really excelled since his period at Ajax.
85 days he was
I just think you can't have two managers at more opposite ends of the spectrum than Sam Allardyce and Frank de Boer.
Yeah, I agree. I think
there's a clash there somewhere, there's a disconnect.
Another bit of a candidate, Slaven Bilic.
Oh yeah, God, I didn't even think about
Slaven Bilic.
Good shout.
There's been a lot of rhetoric, isn't there, during the summer? That's a good word, rhetoric.
Well done. Big one.
About them getting their perfect transfers, Chicharito being, and thinking the words of David Sullivan, the best transfer in the last 10 years of the club, which is an odd one.
It's not hard though, is it? Really not hard.
And then you look at them on paper against United on the weekend, I thought they were howling. I really thought they were awful. I thought the back line was an absolute disgrace. I thought Masuaku looked bang average. I thought Ogbonna was vile on ball.
I've got a little point here that drifts away from the main conversation a tiny bit, but Nordveit looked really good for Hoffenheim against Liverpool, and we all slated him last season for West Ham.
Yeah.
So do you think that Slaven Bilic is just poor at setting up a defence?
Maybe, but I think there's other issues at West Ham. I think their creativity is dog shit. I think that on the weekend against Man United, they created nothing. Obviously they're missing Lanzini, obviously they're missing Antonio, but you look at Lanzini's output last season, 2 assists.
But he was creating a lot of chances.
He was creating a lot of chances, and you're hoping that Hernandez gets on the end of them, and obviously Arnautovic hit the bar, but Arnautovic's link up with Hernandez, I'm not convinced about. I think he's an extremely selfish player. It looked at times like he was playing up front with Hernandez, which I'm not too sure about as being a Premier League frontline that does particularly well. And last season, what did they finish? 9th? 8th?
Oh, Christ.
Well, they did well to escape sort of that relegation battle in the last kind of the third of the season.
I think they finished top half. I'm not
just
100%,
about,
but this season, I don't see that happening. I don't see any progression under Bilic, and I think Bilic at times last season was hanging by a thread.
That's what we're saying.
So this season, I think he's going to go.
Are we polling it? Is it Bilic, Hughton, or De Boer?
Yeah, Bilic, Hughton, or De Boer. I'm going to get a lot of hate from West Ham fans in the comments. But what do you guys at home think? Vote in the poll. Go on, right now. So that's all we've got time for on today's episode of Sunday Vibes. But gentlemen,
Yeah.
What is happening on your Football Daily this weekend?
Go on,
Take
mate.
this.
Oh, look at this.
Oh,
This is
polite,
the
political.
EFD spirit. To me,
Synergy.
to you. Well, Stat Wars the Champions is still raging on. And actually, as you may have seen yesterday, or may not have seen, me and Pato took each other on for the first time in a while in the Season 3
Crazy.
opener. So check that out if you haven't seen it already, because it's been a
Yes.
while, isn't it, since we crossed swords.
Again, Fraser.
Not that long, trust me. Anyway, make sure you check out the fantasy show, like I said before, the link's in the description below. Thanks so much for watching. Get your questions in below as well. Hashtag Sunday Vibes. We're done. We're done. The pub's getting busy. It's time to f*** off. Bye.